There are a lot of anime games on the Nintendo Switch, so today I wanted to sit down and talk about basically every licensed game available based on an animated property. Now, I'm not talking about games that look anime, right? Like, I'm not talking about Catherine Fullbody here, as much as this is a great game and you should play it. I'm talking about games like Super Dragon Ball Heroes and Kill la Kill, games that are actually based on popular anime. There are quite a few of them on the Nintendo Switch, so that's what we're talking about today. Of course, if you are new here and you would like to support the channel by subscribing and leaving a like on the video, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get into it. Alrighty, folks. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's Abibo here. Today we are talking about anime games on the Switch. I've wanted to do this video for a while now, but I realized I was missing a lot of them. So over the past 2 months, I've been going back and trying to finish out my anime collection of games on Switch. There are still some I'm missing. We'll talk about those towards the end of the video, but there are so many games actually based on popular anime available on Switch that it's actually kind of surprising, right? Like, there's definitely more on PlayStation 4 because PS4 was around longer. Like, on PS4, you have that Black Clover game. You have more of the Sword Art Online games over there, that kind of thing, right? But on Switch, there are quite a few. By my count here, I have about 31 games we'll be talking about, but that's not even counting the stuff that I don't own, and there are quite a few games I don't own as well. So we're just going to go through these one by one, talk about my thoughts on them, if I have played them. There are some that I have not played, as we'll get to, but for the most part, I just wanted to give you guys some good anime game recommendations on the Switch, because when you Google it, there's just nothing that really comes up. People are like, oh, you mean like Xenoblade? No, I mean like an actual anime that got a game based on the anime. That's what I'm talking about today. So I'm going to do a licensed anime games video. So starting off, we'll start with, I would say, the most popular anime of all, and that is Dragon Ball. By my count, there are 5 Dragon Ball games on the Nintendo Switch. 3 of them are good. So starting off, we have Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 for Nintendo Switch, as they had to put in the logo there. This is one of my most played Switch games. I've talked about this in videos before. Dragon Ball Xenoverse is awesome. Of course, we just got Sparking Zero, and I am loving that game as well. Been playing it nonstop the past couple of days, but Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 kind of recaptured my love for Dragon Ball games that, I hadn't really been feeling for a while there, where, on the PS3, I think they kind of lost their footing a lot with a lot of those games. Xenoverse 2 brought me back in and got me really attached to Dragon Ball games, playing with friends, playing with the community, and it's just a great game. If you like, PvP is whatever in that game, I think, but the co-op stuff and just the amount of customization you have for your creative character, but also the insane amount of DLC and characters and scenarios and stuff, Xenoverse 2 has a ton of content and is really good. I really recommend it. I'm not too sure how the servers are doing on Switch these days. I think last time I played, I was able to find some co-op quests, which is great, obviously, but back in 2017, that was one of my favorite Switch games. I was playing that thing every day with friends, and I really enjoyed it. So Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is an all-time classic in my opinion. Of course, we also have what I think is technically, not even technically, it's objectively a much higher quality game from Arc System Works. We have Dragon Ball FighterZ. This was the 3v3 tag fighter from Arc System Works, the Guilty Gear devs, that kind of took the world by storm. I'm not great at fighting games, actual fighting games, and that is what this is. This is an actual, hardcore fighting game, but as far as those go, that's still one of my most played actual fighting games, and I gave it my all. I put my most time into this compared to other, Mortal Kombat or something, right? And it's a really great game. Looks beautiful, right? It looks like the anime. It looks fantastic, and it's really great, too. There's a lot of DLC for that as well. So if you want more of, a classic 2D fighter, that's there for you as well. But then we get to a Dragon Ball Z Kakarot here. This came out pretty late on the Switch compared to the other versions. It actually includes a new Power Awakens set, which I think was the Battle of Gods DLC maybe is included in that. Kakarot, I have mixed feelings on. I enjoyed it, overall. I think Kakarot is a great game, but when I played it the first time, there was some design choices I didn't love, but that is basically a single-player story game that just takes you through the entire story of Dragon Ball Z, and now with the DLC, there's some other stuff in there as well with Super. Not too much Super, I think just the movies, which were technically Dragon Ball Z movies, I guess, but Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, if you have not, experienced the story of Dragon Ball that much, great way to just get in and kind of just experience the entire story with amazing visuals from CyberConnect 2, which we'll get to, is one of my favorite anime game developers because they did the Naruto Storm series, and I always thought that they make their cutscenes they look incredible. The games look incredible, so it was really awesome getting a story-based game from them for Dragon Ball Z, seeing all of the classic Dragon Ball Z moments kind of animated in their style. But then we get to the other 2 Dragon Ball games on Switch that I don't really like that much. To be fair, one of them I haven't put too much time into. But next up here, we have Dragon Ball The Breakers. This is the special edition, I guess. This was their attempt at making a Dead by Daylight Dragon Ball game, which on paper, huge respect. That's a crazy thing to try and do, but I don't think it's very good. It runs awfully. It runs awfully on Switch. To be honest with you, I only played it a couple hours because I played it and I was like, yeah, this is not a good video game, but also it runs so poorly. Maybe my experience would have been better if I played it on PS4. That's totally possible. But yeah, Dragon Ball The Breakers, not for me. I also just don't like those like 1v5 games or like 1v4 games like Dead by Daylight, where one player is like a monster. In this case, you play as one of the villains, and then you have the survivors kind of running around trying to stop you. I don't like those types of games, but it is kind of cool that they tried something very different for that. You know, anime games always get the stereotype of like, they're all just 3D arena fighters, and that is true for a lot of Dragon Ball games especially, but it's nice that they tried something very different with it. And then this next one here is actually a Switch exclusive for some reason. I don't know why this game didn't release on PlayStation. I don't think it did. But we have Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. This is the Hero Edition that actually includes like a card, but there is also a version that was a reprint that does not include the card. So this is a card game based on Dragon Ball Heroes, and I guess in Japan there's like arcade cabinets for this and all that. Not my kind of game, I would say, really, but I imagine if you're into this kind of thing, it probably is pretty solid, right? You get to see all the characters kind of animated in 3D. There's a lot of like the weird Dragon Ball Heroes characters as well, like Future Trunks, of course, a huge character in this, but also I think like Fu and all that is in here, as well as like some just more custom characters that you don't really see in like the main canon of Dragon Ball, if you want to call it that. So not for me, but also it's cool that it's a Switch exclusive and is just a game no one really talks about because it is, once again, kind of like Dragon Ball The Breakers, just completely different from anything else we really see in this franchise, at least in America anyway. Next up, let's talk about one of my favorite anime, and that is Naruto. You can see my my Rise of the Ninja poster back there from the 360. So Naruto releases on Switch. This is where it starts getting weird. With a lot of anime games on Switch, for whatever reason, Bandai Namco specifically, who publishes most Shonen Jump anime games, for some reason, a lot of them don't get physical releases in America. So Dragon Ball, like, that's safe. But Naruto, we get a little weird here, where some of these were only released in Japan. One of them was only released in Europe, as well as, like, Asian territory. So it gets a little weird. And then from there, One Piece, very weird as well. So that's kind of what also made me want to do this video, because it's kind of hard to figure out what anime games actually have, like, proper physical releases for collectors, if you are an anime fan, and if you want to have a physical copy. But I love the Naruto Storm games. That's all we have on Switch right now, is just a bunch of Storm games. So starting off, I have a Japanese copy here of the Naruto Storm trilogy. I just got this in very recently. Unfortunately, this does not have English on the cartridge, so it's kind of here just for me to actually complete my Naruto collection on Switch, because I love these games. I've loved these games my entire life, even back on PS2 with like the original Ultimate Ninja games. I've always loved Naruto video games. Naruto Storm is definitely my favorite sub-series of Naruto games, although I do also enjoy the recent, or I guess not recent, it's like 6 years old, but Shinobi Striker on PS4, even though that's like very different. That's a multiplayer like kind of co-op game. But Naruto Storm Trilogy, fantastic series of 3D arena fighters. I would say this is the game series that kind of like, after Budokai Tenkaichi, this is what really set like the template, I think, of like what 3D arena fighters have become for anime games. And I know for a lot of people that's a negative thing, but for me, especially considering the legacy that Naruto Storm has, and being like one of the pioneers of like just a really high quality anime game, I've always loved them. I think if you are, even if you're a new Naruto fan, these are a great way to actually even experience the story, honestly. That's actually how I saw quite a bit of the war arc, or like the lead up to the final arc in Storm 3. That was the first time I had actually seen a lot of that stuff animated. I read it, but I didn't see it animated or like with voice acting or anything. So that's the Naruto Storm trilogy right here, 1, 2, and 3. You can buy it digitally in Europe and in America as well, but if you want a physical copy, you're gonna have to buy it in Japan here, which is unfortunate. I wish they had given that a proper physical release, especially because it is 3 games. You can also buy them individually on the eShop as well, so I see them on sale often for like $5, which is an insane price. But then we also have Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, A Road to Boruto. So this has the Boruto DLC for Storm 4. Storm 4 is fantastic. I think mechanically and like content-wise, it's probably like the best of them in terms of like if you want to do PvP or something, right? However, the story mode I thought was a little lackluster compared to Storm 3, but it's still a really high quality game. It concludes the story, and it is fantastic. This one right here is one of those like Asia releases, so you can get a European copy of this. It has the PEGI rating. This one does not have that though, but it's also in English, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, Naruto Storm 4 there as well. And then finally, we just had this release last year. Kind of a disappointing release, I think, for a lot of people. We had a Naruto Storm Connections, which is basically Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 again, but like with some more Boruto DLC and a weird like original story mode, which wasn't great. It was good that they kind of refreshed Storm 4 and added some more of the current Boruto characters like Baruyama and Naruto and all that, but it's kind of a lackluster release. That's the thing with Naruto Storm, and like in between the numbered games on PS3 especially, they would do like Naruto Storm Generations, which didn't really add much new, even though I really enjoyed that game. They also had Revolution, which added Mecha Naruto, and that was like kind of a weird in-between entry. Naruto Storm Connections is definitely a half step for whatever Ultimate Ninja Storm 5 ends up being, if we ever even get that. I mean, Storm Connections was like so like lackluster and so ill received by the community, even though like the core game is like good. It's Naruto Storm. You like Naruto Storm. The actual new content they brought to the table was not there. So out of these, I would say if you're gonna try a Naruto game on Switch, honestly buy Storm Trilogy digitally if you have not played them, and then get Storm 4 here if you want to get a nice physical copy. But yeah, the Naruto Storm series, even with the asterisk on Storm Connections, I love these games. I love Cyber Connect 2, as we will get to with another series of games, or one game that they released on Switch a couple years back. Great games. I really enjoy them. Next up, we have 4 One Piece games, and now we start talking about some games that I have actually not played. So starting off, this came out back in 2017, I believe. This was actually a PS3 game that got like a Wii U version, then it got a PS4 version, then eventually it made its way to Switch. I think there's also a 3DS and Vita version. So this game has been around, and that is a One Piece Unlimited World Red Deluxe Edition. So I don't really know much about this game, I'll be honest. It's like a story adventure game. I've heard it's not good. Like I've gotten comments on videos being like, yeah, Unlimited World Red is not a good game. And I mean, yeah, looking at the Metacritic score, it has a 68 on Metacritic, which is average for a game like this. But also, anime games, I feel like also don't normally review like extremely well. This is one I still want to give a shot on my own. The physical release I have from Europe here, it looks like it includes all 40 DLCs or over 40 DLCs on the cartridge, I believe, which is cool. This is an original story with original characters created by Oda. Looking at the gameplay, it looks like it's pretty basic, like 3D action adventure game with some basic combat, with combos and stuff. I think the reviews are probably justified, but at the same time, usually with stuff like this, if you're a big fan of the property, like I love One Piece, I have a feeling I'll play this game, and yeah, it's going to be a little jank, it's going to be a little low budget, right? But I bet I'll probably enjoy this, at least enough to justify the purchase anyway. And speaking of One Piece games with original stories and characters written by Oda, we have One Piece Odyssey Deluxe Edition. This one just came out a few months ago on Switch. It came out back in 2023 on the PS5. It looks like this does include the DLC stuff, which is cool though. So no extra purchases necessarily there, unless there's other DLC I'm not sure about. This is a turn-based JRPG developed by Ilka, the people that made the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes back in 2021. This is a huge departure from that, right? Like this looks very high quality. It does go for that art style that I don't love for anime games, where they kind of make it like look weirdly realistic. You know how hyped this game would be if it looked like, I don't even know, like Dragon Ball FighterZ or like Sparking Zero, like just have that cel-shaded style like Naruto Storm. But no, they go for this weird, not realistic, but you know what I mean. It got that Jump Force art style to it, and I don't like it. So this is what I played a little bit of. I enjoyed what I played of it. I need to finish it. It's a really long JRPG. There are just so many turn-based RPGs I want to play, so unfortunately One Piece Odyssey has not gotten fully played through yet by me. And then finally for One Piece, we have 2 Pirate Warriors games. I love Warriors games. I love Dynasty Warriors. I love the tie-ins that they do with Nintendo, with Fire Emblem and Zelda. But we have 2 of them on Switch, one of which is actually pretty rare, hard to find. I've talked about this in videos before. We have Pirate Warriors 3 Deluxe Edition. This one only got a physical release in Europe and Japan. You can get the Japanese copy, like that's cheap, that's fine, that's easy. The European copy that has English on the cartridge and all that, that one is actually kind of hard to find. You can find it on eBay. It's just a little bit more pricey. Pirate Warriors 3 is great. Love that game. Played it back on the PS4, I think back in like 2015, 2016, before I'd even like watched or read all of One Piece yet. So I think I actually got some spoilers by playing that game. But then we also have One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 here, which came out back during COVID, I think, maybe even before COVID, 2019 or so, maybe 2020. This game recently got new DLC, which is interesting because this was still during Wano, and I guess to be fair, they haven't like, not a ton has happened. They do have a full arc they could adapt into a new Warriors game if they wanted to. But I guess it feels like we're past the era of anime games where like they just keep pumping them out like yearly, right? I would like a Pirate Warriors 5, though. I would like if they just waited, 5 more years and then a proper sequel to Pirate Warriors 4. But yeah, those are both fantastic games, especially if you like Warriors games. I know they're not for everybody, but for me, I like the fan service. I like being able to have all of these characters in one game. And yeah, they're both pretty fun. So that is 4 One Piece games on Switch, 2 of which you have to get a European copy of if you want to own physically on the Nintendo Switch. Next up, we have a series of games I am much less familiar with than One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball, and that is Sword Art Online. So there are 4 Sword Art Online games available on Switch physically. I have 3 of them here. I do not have Hollow Realization, I believe is the name, which is actually, I think, the first one that released on Switch. These ones are even weirder if you want to get physical copies. We just had the first one released in English and in America for the first time. We'll get to that in just a second. But all of the other ones have gotten physical releases in Europe by Bandai Namco, so I guess they figure Sword Art Online is way more popular in Europe, maybe? I'm not really sure. But we have Sword Art Online Fatal Bullets. This is one I'm sad I didn't play this game, like, when it was active and relevant. I'm sure the servers are probably dead at this point. Looks like this includes the main game plus all DLC, as well as the Dissonance of the Nexus game expansion, all on the cartridge, which is super cool. Fatal Bullet is developed by the Xenoverse 2 team. And I realized when I found that out, like, why these games always look so interesting to me. I love co-op anime games. There are a ton of them, but like Xenoverse 2, Shinobi Striker on PS4, I love co-op anime stuff. So I'm a little sad I never played Fatal Bullet when it came out. This is based on, I think it's called Gun Gale Online. Yeah, it says Gun Gale Online on the back here. This is based on the Gun Gale Online arc of the Sword Art Online anime. So that one's cool there. Then we have this one I have not heard too much about, Sword Art Online Alicization Lycoris. And now on the back of the box here, it says this is a single-player only game, battle RPG. So I'm not too sure how different this one is compared to the other SAO games. But yeah, as you can see on the back of the box here, it doesn't mention online or anything. It says Battle RPG, so maybe this is more of a traditional RPG. I'm not too sure. Then they also did, of course, Hollow Realization, like I said. But then also on PS4 last year and PS5, they released a game called Last Recollection that for some reason did not get a physical or even a release on Switch at all. But then this year, another Sword Art Online game came out. I guess they pump these out like yearly. I actually have played quite a bit of this one. I put like 20 hours into it. I was going to do a review, but I decided not to, because frankly, I don't think that video would do very well on this channel. But Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream, this is the first one to get a proper release in the US, and it is a 20-player online co-op game, once again developed by Dempsey, developers of the Xenoverse, as well as Fatal Bullets. And that's pretty good. It's a little janky, right? It's a little light on content, but if you just want to have, fun playing as your favorite Sword Art Online characters, like, it's a solid time loading up with friends. Hopefully the servers are active for a while. Hopefully you can find matches. But even if you can't, they didn't make it so that if you can't find players, it does queue you with just like CPUs to play the missions, which isn't like the best solution, but also it's nice that there's a solution at all for when this game does inevitably die. I can't imagine a Sword Art Online game will stay active for a super long time, right? So cool that they did that. So yeah, there are quite a few Sword Art Online games on Switch. I still need to find a copy of Hollow Realization. That's another one that only came out in Europe and Japan physically. So I've been trying to track down a copy of that for a good price. But Sword Art Online, I need to play more of these games. There's a lot of them. Next up, we have the My Hero 1's Justice games from, I believe, Biking is the developer. So I've only played the first one, and I did not think it was very good. I thought it was pretty low budget, didn't take too long to get through the story mode. I didn't really mess with the online too much. I didn't really enjoy this that much. But also, I will admit, I'm not like a huge My Hero fan. I have read the entire manga. Like, I've read everything, but I don't know. My Hero is like, it's like fine. I think it's like Demon Slayer, where My Hero is just like, it's like fine. It's mid, in my opinion, but like it's good mid, if that makes sense. So My Hero 1's Justice, this is very cheap on Switch, but also My Hero 1's Justice 2. This one I've heard is a lot better for like PvP if you really want to get into the actual like competitive scene and really want to get good at the game. Apparently My Hero 1's Justice 2 is a much better game, so I can't really speak on it because I haven't played it, but those are 2 My Hero options on Switch. Did Ultra Rumble come out on Switch? That's the Battle Royale game. I think that did release on Switch, but I think it might be digital only. So there is also that as well, I believe. But then we get to another banger. If you like Naruto Storm, the Naruto Storm developers, CC2, went on to make Demon Slayer the Hino Chronicles here. So I have my copy still sealed. I actually played this on PS5 back when it came out. Got the Platinum Trophy. Once again, like I was just saying, I don't love Demon Slayer. Like, I think Demon Slayer is a fine anime. It's a fine manga. It's whatever. The characters are cool. Sure. This game is really good, though. If you like 3D arena fighters, and that's, I guess, an acquired taste. Some people don't have that much love for them. But if you do like them, Demon Slayer Hino Chronicles is like, probably like the best one, like in my opinion. I would actually put this in terms of like quality, in terms of fun factor, above the Naruto Storm games because they added some new like parry systems and stuff. The story mode is pretty good too. I wouldn't put it up there with like Storm 2 and Storm 3, but the story mode is solid. I think this goes up to the Mugen Train arc, so I think we will probably see a sequel to this, honestly, maybe within the next year or so, because they haven't really done anything since Hino Chronicles. They did Naruto Storm Connections, but they also didn't really need to do much for that. So I think Hino Chronicles 2 will probably be coming out in the very near future, so I'm excited to see that. So this game is fantastic. But then also, because Sega, of all companies, has the license, you know, normally Bandai Namco is releasing all these. Sega has Demon Slayer, which means we get some even weirder stuff. I have not tried this yet. I have not heard great things about it. But once again, like Dragon Ball The Breakers, like that card game, right? I respect when they try to do different things with anime IP. We just this year got this game here, Demon Slayer Sweep the Board. They made a Demon Slayer Mario Party game. Very weird. I was watching some videos about it when it was coming out, and even like in those videos, they were getting repeated mini games like in the same match, which should never happen. So I don't know if that's indicative of the full experience. And those were pre-release videos from a reviewer. But yeah, Demon Slayer Sweep the Board is a Mario Party-like game on the Switch, which is crazy. I think it also did later come out on PS5, but at first it was a Switch exclusive, which is also kind of weird. Here's another one that just came out earlier this year. I've played very little of it, so don't take my opinions too seriously here. But Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. This is another 3D arena fighter. I think this was the one where it was announced, and people are just like, are you kidding me? Another 3D arena fighter. But I love 3D arena fighters, and from what I played of this, it's fine. Like, I didn't put too much time into it. I kind of wish I had it on PS5 because the Switch version, from the little bit I played, wasn't running that great. So this is one I would almost want to get on PS5 and actually play over there. But it's still cool that it actually did come to Switch. And also, it's one of the few Bandai Namco anime games that actually release day and dates with all the other platforms. Normally, Bandai Namco likes to release it on PS5 and Xbox and PC, and then like a year later, give it to Switch owners, which is always really frustrating. It's so annoying that they do that because they know they can get people to double dip. So yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen and Curse Clash, one of the first times they didn't do that. I don't think this game reviewed all too well, but they are still supporting it with DLC, so that's cool. And it's nice to have Jujutsu Kaisen get like an actual proper game, especially now that the manga's over. Who knows if we'll actually ever get another one, right? Maybe they'll do a Curse Clash 2, but this might end up being like the only Jujutsu Kaisen game. So at the very least, we have one, which is cool. And then finally, the last one in my stack here that I have put a substantial amount of time into, although there's still quite a few games in this stack, is Jump Force Deluxe Edition. So Jump Force is actually pretty good. People hate on Jump Force a lot. I think it's a fun game. It's, once again, another fun 3D arena fighter. If you like 3D arena fighters, you'll probably enjoy it. There are some issues, right? I hate the art style. I think the art style is awful. The story mode isn't very good, but the actual core gameplay is solid and has a really nice roster of characters. It has a really great variety of Shonen Jump characters, where you have characters from like YuGiOh and also Dragon Quest Dai, but also a Saint Seiya. But then you have, you know, Gon from Hunter x Hunter and Naruto and you know, Ichigo and all that, right? And My Hero. I think this was before Demon Slayer and JJK took off, so it doesn't have that. It also includes the first season pass here, which looks like it has Saiba in there, All Might, Bakugo, Hitsugaya, Law, Grimmjow. So this game's pretty good. It is unfortunately like delisted and the servers are offline. I don't know why they did that. I really don't understand that, because Jump Force actually did really well. Like, sales-wise, Jump Force did very well. So I have to imagine that they are probably going to come back with a sequel to this, but my only holdup on that is the developers of Jump Force, Spike Chunsoft, actually just made Sparking Zero. So it's funny to see all the hate for Jump Force back then and now all the love for Sparking Zero when it's the same developer making another 3D arena fighter. Of course, Sparking Zero is better than Jump Force. There's no doubt about that, but it is a little funny, like the glow up they had. But yeah, Jump Force is pretty solid. This is a pretty expensive Switch physical. I think it's about like MSRP, maybe even above that now. I think that might be in part because this is technically the most complete copy of the game now. Like, let's say you're a new anime fan and you want to try out Jump Force, this is the only way you can actually play as like Saiba and Majin Buu and Bakugo and those characters that were in the first DLC pass, because all that stuff is delisted, but it's on the cartridge of the Switch version, which is pretty nice. All right, now we have just a bunch of like one-off games. A lot of these are not Shonen Jump properties, although some of them still are. A lot of these I have not played, but I have played a little bit of this one, and that is Kill la Kill the game, or Kill la Kill If the game. So I have not actually finished the Kill la Kill anime, but I did finish the story mode in this. And that's about all I did. You know, I didn't try online or like PvP or anything in this game. Once again, very high quality like visuals. I enjoyed the story mode for what it was, another 3D arena fighter, but for what it was, even though I don't have like a huge attachment to Kill la Kill, I thought this game was pretty solid. Here's a recent pickup that I'm dying to try. I need to find some friends to play it with. Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle. I recently watched through Attack on Titan for the first time. Oh my goodness, what an anime. I really, you know, Attack on Titan's like one of like the anime. People are always talking about Attack on Titan. For the past decade of my life, people have been hyping this anime up. And, you know, people hype up Demon Slayer and JJK and My Hero. And I'm just like, I watch them, I read them, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's good. But Attack on Titan actually delivered. Like, it really lived up to the expectations and frankly even exceeded them, because Attack on Titan is like an all-time classic for me now. Like, this is an all-time favorite anime for me now. And I really want to try this game. This is like a PvP or PvE game, I believe. So you and your friends will fight against Titans, which is just such an, I mean, that's such an easy idea for for a game. Koei Tecmo made this one, so I think it's running on the Warriors engine. But yeah, this is one I definitely want to try in the near future. I just picked it up very recently. Another recent pickup that came out earlier this year, we have Spy Anya Operation Memories. I've talked about this a couple times in videos before. Once again, another one of those anime games that is just super weird. This is a Spy Family game where you play as Anya, just kind of doing your daily life. It's a slice of daily life game. That is what it says on the back here. So I'm not sure if this is a good game or what, but I imagine if you're a fan of Spy Family, it's kind of just like cute. You know, you're playing as Anya. It's cute. You're taking photos with the family. It's a wholesome game, and that's, I think, what the anime really goes for, so I'm sure this is fine. Next up, we have another Koei Tecmo game here, and that is Fairy Tail, another recent pickup. So they're releasing a sequel to this in December. This is a turn-based RPG, I guess similar to a Piece Odyssey, but set in the Fairy Tail universe. It is based on the canon events of the game. I'm not sure if it starts from like the beginning of the story or what, but I'm pretty sure, because I was watching the direct where they announced Fairy Tail 2. I think they said it covers like the rest of the series or something. So I think this is canon. I don't think it's like an original story like they do for a lot of these games. I know nothing about Fairy Tail. I've heard this game is pretty good. Gus made it, the developers of the Atelier series, so this is one I want to try eventually. But I think I should probably at least watch some of the anime or read some of the manga before I jump into this, because I literally know, I don't even know is it Natsu Dragneel, I think his name is. Maybe the cat. I don't know the characters of Fairy Tail. I really know nothing about Fairy Tail. I imagine, you know, I probably would like it. I imagine, like, I love these like really long running anime like Naruto and Bleach and Dragon Ball, so I would probably get some, at least intrinsic value out of Fairy Tail, and the game looks pretty good as well. Then we have from CC2 as well, although I have not played this one, JoJo All-Star Battle R. So this is a remake or a remaster of a PS3 game, but they brought it over to modern platforms and then did some more modern DLC for it. Once again, not super into JoJo. I mean, I'm sure I would love it if I read more of it, but so I don't have too much experience with this, but this is a more traditional like 2D fighter, which is interesting from CC2 because they do the iconic 3D arena fighter. So they have a 2D fighting JoJo game on Switch here. Here's a weird one, Captain Subasa Rise of the Champions. Yeah, so there's a Captain Subasa game. I don't know anything about Captain Subasa. I know it's a very classic soccer anime or football anime, depending on where you are, but they made a game on it, which is awesome. Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. So Fitness Boxing is a franchise that is developed on the Switch. Fitness Boxing 1 and 2 were published by Nintendo. Then they also did the Hatsune Miku one. They're doing some more ones this year. I think Nintendo's actually publishing Fitness Boxing 3 this year, but they did a Fist of the North Star tie-in game, which is like so funny and so awesome. I got this copy for $10 through, I think, Best Buy. They were doing like a $10 deal a day or something like that, and this was one of those games, so I decided to pick it up. What a crazy game to exist. Like, what is the audience for this? Like, this has to be such a niche audience of people that want a Fist of the North Star game, but also a fitness game. That's crazy. That is crazy that this product made it to retail. Just a few more here that I actually own. I wanted to include this because YuGiOh is a manga. We have YuGiOh Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution. This is just a YuGiOh game. Pretty good, right? It's a card game. If you like YuGiOh, you like YuGiOh. But I wanted to include that. There is also the YuGiOh Early Days collection, I think, coming out soon. That is like a bunch of like the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. Some of them being localized for the first time, which is awesome. And then finally, for my personal collection, then we'll talk about games I don't own. This is a recent release. Wanted to include it because it is Shonen Jump properties, but it's not based on like any specific one, and that is Captain Velvet's Meteor, the Jump Plus Dimension. So this is a tactics game, not dissimilar to like a Fire Emblem, I believe. The back of the box here says, become Captain Velvet Meteor and help Damien conquer his fears in a tactical adventure. Damien sets off on an adventure with his favorite Jump Plus heroes and fights to adjust to his new home and find himself. So this includes characters from a Spy Family, Hell's Paradise, Summertime Rendering, Kaiju number 8. It actually, like, low-key has pretty good reviews on Metacritic, although it doesn't have many reviews, which is why the score is so high, probably. But wanted to include this because what a weird game. Like, you have access to Kaiju number 8 and Spy Family, and you make a tactics game based on some random kid named Damien. That's crazy. So those are all the anime games that I actually own a physical copy of. However, there are a few more I wanted to talk about, such as the Shin-Chan Summer Vacation game. I played this digitally. They actually sent me a review code for it back then. Shout out to them. But this is just a really cozy, like, day in the life, once again, cozy game. It's one of the Summer Vacation games, so, like, there's a bunch of these. And there's actually 2 Shin-Chan games. I believe the first one came out, like 2 years ago, and they're releasing a sequel this year. The physical release of this was published through Limited Run. It has actually gotten very expensive, unfortunately. I was thinking about buying it back when it came out, and unfortunately, I did not snag a copy of it when it got a physical release, so that's kind of a bummer. We also have a Record of Lodoss War. Don't know much about that, but there is a Record of Lodoss War game. There's a Made in Abyss game. Once again, I've never watched Made in Abyss. There's the Steins Gate visual novel. This one I actually have coming in the mail because it is actually developed by Mages, who recently did the remakes and the new entry in the Famicom Detective Club series. So I'm very curious to go back and try out one of their other visual novels that isn't Nintendo associated, right, with Steins Gate. Never watched the anime, but that's coming in soon. Then there is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a slime game that only got a release in, I believe, Japan. And then there's also Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon game that looks like a mobile game, does not look very good. There's a Goblin Slayer game that's like a tactics game coming out, I think in November. Never watched Goblin Slayer, but that actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to check out that. That is everything that I have on my list. I don't think I missed anything. If you know of any like licensed anime games I missed in this video, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to be corrected on this because there's not very many lists. I was trying to find lists of like every licensed anime game on Switch, but there just aren't that many. So if you know of any other licensed anime games based on actual anime or manga that I did not talk about in this video, comment them down below. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I just wanted to give you guys some anime recommendations and also just kind of lay out most, if not every, anime game that is available on Switch because, like I said, there just weren't too many lists out there. Let me know what your favorite anime games are on the Nintendo Switch. What is your favorite to play? But also let me know what is your least favorite anime game on the Switch. I would like to hear what you think is the biggest stinker that you have played on your Switch. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch collecting content, reviews, all that fun stuff. I do very much appreciate it. The channel has been doing very well recently. I really do, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, appreciate the support on this channel. So of course, if you want to continue supporting me, I would very much appreciate that. Subscribe here, follow me on Twitter at BotoxGames, check out my other channel at BotoxGames for my Nintendo news content, and until next time, folks, peace.